Okay, I think we can start now, yeah? Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome and thank everyone to today's event, the forum we are having on the life of postgraduate students. Okay, the forum sounds very serious, kan? But our session is a laid-back one, okay, where we sembang-sembang, okay, sharing experience, best practice on, how to sail through postgraduate life. Okay, I think because there are requests, okay, we can conduct our session both in Malay and English language. Okay, it's sembang-sembang santai. Okay, all right. So without further ado, let me introduce our panelists for today. Okay, we have 5 of them. They are all very outstanding in their own field. Okay, so I think let me share the screen, yeah, so that you can read together because their CVs are very very impressive. Okay, now let's start with Associate Professor Dr. Elina Azizan. Okay, this is a very old picture of Dr. Elina. I got it from Google. She looks very fresh, kan? Okay, so Associate Professor Dr. Elina Aisha binti Azizan completed a PhD from University of Cambridge, United Kingdom, in early 2013. Her thesis was on subcategorizing aldosterone-producing adenomas, a common curable cause of secondary hypertension, both by genotype and phenotype. The outcome for her research at University of Cambridge has led to first publications in high-impact factor journals on the fields such as Nature, Genetics, Hypertension, and the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. Her research was presented at international scientific meetings, winning the Austin Doyle Award at the 24th scientific meeting of the International Society of Hypertension in Australia and the Young Investigator Award at the 39th International Aldosterone meeting in the US. Returned to Malaysia in 2014 and joined the Department of Medicine of the UKM, where she is in charge of the Endocrine Unit Clinical Examination Laboratory. In Malaysia, she still continues her research on primary aldosterone, focusing on the cell function of the zona glomerulosa in the adrenal glands in collaboration with the fast-paced supervisor and co-researchers. The outcome from these international research collaborations enable continuity of first author, senior author, and corresponding author publications in high-impact factor journals of the field such as New England Journal of Medicine, Nature, Genetics, and Hypertension from Malaysia. Her study of primary aldosteronism in the Malaysian population has also been given local regional recognition with the AFAS Investigator Award, given to her at the 18th biennial scientific meeting of the ASEAN Federation of Endocrine Societies and the Young Investigator Award, Basic Science, at the 8th Malaysian Endocrine Metabolic Society Annual Congress. Her university had also recognized her contributions through the Excellent Service Award in 2018 and the Outstanding Research Award for Grants 2019. Most recently, she has received the prestigious ENS T Award for Research on Aldosteronism or Aldosterone-producing adenomas 2021 from the European Network for the Study of Adrenal Tumors. An active member of MEMS, Malaysian Endocrine Society, Malaysia Endocrine and Metabolism Society, where she had been part of the organizing and scientific committee for the 7th annual meeting held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, 2016. Okay, well, she has very long. I think I'll finish this. Okay, so through MEMS, she has also been involved with nationwide studies on the prevalence of primary aldosteronism in Malaysia and Malaysian Community SALT study. She is also a member of Biomed Research International and Frontiers of Endocrinology on topics such as aldosteronism and primary aldosteronism. Currently, a recipient of the Royal Malaysian Society Newton Advanced Fellowship and Principal Investigator for an International Newton MRC MIFA UK Malaysian Joint Partnership on non-communicable disease. Very important. and a Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia fundamental research grant focusing on the genetic contributors and biomarkers of complete cure for hypertension caused by autonomous consumption production. And past grants have allowed her to supervise 6 postgraduate students, 1 graduated in 2020 and another awaiting conferment, and convocation for the Master of Medical Science in Medicine. She is also the co-supervisor for another 6 postgraduate students in other medical fields who have graduated in 2019 with Master of Medicine, Internal Medicine. Okay, just a moment there. Right. Okay, our second speaker, who also has a very, very impressive CV. Okay, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Fauzi MH Busra. Okay, Dr. Muhammad Fauzi Muhammad Busra was born in 1986 in Malaysia, where he obtained his bachelor degree in UKM. He joined UKM since 2009, started as science officer for 9 years, before appointed as senior lecturer since 2018, and currently holding head of department position at Center for Tissue Engineering and Regenerative Medicine, CITM, starting from 2021 in Faculty of Medicine, UKM. Okay, he is currently appointed as associate professor in tissue engineering and played a major role in tissue engineering research field, including teaching allocation for nursing and medical undergraduate students. He has vast experience in the tissue engineering field, especially in biomaterials development by using different fabrication technologies for various tissue applications such as skin, cartilage, cornea, respiratory airways, and others. To date, he acts as the principal investigator for more than 18 active research projects on biomaterials, followed by 20 active research projects as co-researchers. His previous contribution to the current field, including investigation of the potential animal livestock extracted collagen type 1 from tendon to be used as provisional halal biotemplate for future use in biomedical and clinical applications known as cold patch. Cold patch is currently ongoing the safety study on the human trial. He's also currently awarded an international research for Project Shift, shaping innovative products for sustainable tissue engineering strategies. Mary, I don't know how to pronounce this, Mary Sklodowska, Curry Rice Action 2020 from European Commission, Horizon 2020, to extend the halal bovine collagen work together towards pre-commercialization product and for local medical advice authority registration. Okay, he has, as I said earlier, he has very impressive CV. You can all have a look at his CV in the UKM Sarjana website. Okay. So he has he has currently 79. I think the number is more than 79 currently. Okay, more published papers with more than 25 publications as the main author and corresponding author, and 32 accredited as a co-author in biomaterials and other fields published in ISI, WS, Scopus, and non-index journal. Okay, so his supervision, okay, let me share with you. Okay, he is currently supervising 17 students, 8 PhD and 9 master students, 5 attachment undergraduate students, mentoring more than 10 medical students. Okay, so again, you can have a look at his impressive CV from UKM Sarjana website. Okay, our third speaker or panelist, okay, is Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Helmi Mokhtar. He is an associate professor at the Department of Physiology, Faculty of Medicine, UKM. He received a bachelor degree, BSc, in 2011 from University of Malaysia, Terengganu, UMT, and PhD, specializing in physiology from University of Malaya in 2016. He is currently head of the PhD program for the Faculty of Medicine, UKM. His research interest is in the field of reproductive physiology, which focuses on the female reproductive system. His current research projects include studying testosterone effects on endometrial receptivity and the roles of honey in postmenopausal symptoms and PCOS. He also serves as honorary secretary for the MSPP, Malaysian Society of Pharmacology and Physiology. Okay. All right. So moving on to our fourth panelist, okay, Dr. Huzaidah Azidah Amanazri, Okay, Dr. Azida Ahmad Nazri is a postdoctorate researcher under Scheme Modal Insan UKM at Inbiosis Institute of Systems Biology. He received her PhD in biochemistry from UKM in 2021, yeah, and Masters in Science Medicine from University Technology Mara UITM in 2000. Okay. Dr. Azida's current research focuses on the development of polyphenol-rich extracts from tropical plants such as Dinura procumbens, or locally known as Sambun Nyawa, and mangosteen fruit, Garcinia mangostana, for management of obesity, diabetes, and infertility comorbidities using omics approaches. She has published several papers in high-index journals and WOS related to complementary and alternative methods, pharmaceutical biology and biochemistry. Okay, last but not least, yeah, our final panelist, okay, Puan Nurul Adila, alias Hayat Jamaluddin. Okay, Puan Nurul Adila is a pharmacist, graduated from University of Malaya. She has experience working with retail and community pharmacy before pursuing her master's in clinical pharmacy in the University of Cyberjaya. Currently, she is one of the clinical pharmacy lecturers at the University of Cyberjaya, mainly in infectious disease discipline. Puan Nurul Adila is currently doing her PhD with Department Pharmacology. Okay, so I will stop sharing our the bios for the panelists. All right, so how we go about today is I'm going to ask questions, okay, and our panelists will answer them. So my first question, I think I will direct my first question to Associate Prof. Dr. Elina, yeah? Boleh ya, Dr. Elina? Okay, so my question is, okay, Dr. Elina you did your PhD in Cambridge, right? Okay, yes. So how did you, okay, what made you decide to choose University of Cambridge for your PhD? And also, could you share us your challenges faced during your PhD and how you overcome your challenges? Okay, yes, Dr. Elina?
Thank you very much. Can I share screen? Is that possible?
You sound very soft, Dr. Elina.
Can I share screen?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead, Dr. Elina. Yeah.
Okay, so the first question Dr. Norliza, Prof. Dr. Norliza asked was, what made you decide to choose the university I did for PhD? So just before I chose the university, Cambridge, I actually chose pharmacology to do BSc in pharmacology at, let me see how I can check this, just a minute. Yeah, BSc in pharmacology in University of Leeds. And why I'm telling this is because there's a bit of backstory before going to the PhD life, which is that I did some research in my final year in the pharmacology, which involves maggots and the fruit fly. So it involves this model system for teratogen effects of several chemicals, caffeine including, to see what happens to the fly when it emerges. So it's representative of pregnancy. And also I had done a stint in University Malaya during my summer vacation as a research assistant, looking at some molecular genetics association between some polymorphisms and schizophrenia. So that's why I wanted to mention is that I had these two backgrounds to one an animal model and one working with genetics in humans before I had to actually make the choice in regards to my PhD. So what happened was that at the start of 2008, everyone was thinking, all my friends in University of Leeds were thinking of extending to do their masters, but I thought, why do masters when I know I want to do PhD? So I asked for PhD. Initially, I actually asked for Bristol, Manchester, Liverpool, basically ones with good football teams. But then my dad and mom, which very fortunately said, why not try for Cambridge? So I did try for Cambridge and managed to get 2 offers which was in the Postgraduate Medical Center in Edenbrooks, and also one in the City Center in Department of Pharmacology. And this is where my experiences in University of Leeds actually played the role, and in University of Malaya, because the Department of Pharmacology was actually going to be working on obese rodents as an animal model, whereas the project offered in University of Cambridge was actually on genetics in humans. So because I had my experience, and the experience that I did not like about, which although I did enjoy the experience at the time, was with the animal models. At the end of the day, you had to cut the maggots up for the ones that you didn't use. So I did not like the idea of having to sacrifice the animals at the end of the day, whereas with the humans, um, you are not going to kill the humans at the end of the day. So that's why I decided to choose the Edenbrooke Center for the PhD. So it was really why I chose the university was well, my parents suggested it and I took it up, and I didn't maybe don't limit yourself and not doubt yourself, and then yeah, so that was my PhD. And then I started there, which this is my supervisor, Prof. Maurice Brown. And for me, I felt it was a good combination, because even though I don't have a clinical background, my background was pharmacology, they gave equal weight and importance to both the clinical and non-clinical members of the unit. So I felt like we were both contributing to each other, both from the basic science and then contributing to the patient-oriented research. So these two have a background of MD, whereas us two are basic scientists. So it was a good combination, I think. So your next question, Prof. Liza, was what were the challenges you faced during your PhD journey and how you overcome them? So you saw I started in 2008 September. Well, 2000 and 2010, I would say, is my dark days of PhD, and it was actually like banging my head against the wall. I had no purpose in life, I felt. But then what happened, there was a light beyond the tunnel, and this paper came out, which is this potassium channel mutations in adrenal aldosterone producing adenomas and hereditary hypertension. And it was actually came in the feed, the Google feed of what stuff comes out. And it was exactly what I was interested in and researching in. And from there, that led to research. It was really like a eureka moment to the research that I did in third year PhD. So I just want to say to all the PhD students out there, if your first and second year PhD looks dark and miserable, don't worry. It's normally in the third year. And I've talked to many, maybe the other panels have experienced like this. And normally it's the third year where you finally find your eureka moment. And this led to this paper in JCEM, where we found the aldosterone producing adenomas, which was what we are interested in, having different phenotypes, large tumors, small tumors, female, male, and different percentage of compact cells. And so this was in 2012. And I presented this at the conference. So this is another thing that is quite important, to present your work. And it was well accepted with an Austin Doyle Award. But what I would like to say, my challenges was that not everyone found what I found. So in the academic world, other people can find different things. They have different cohorts, different number of samples. Mine, just to point out, is this N of 73. So you can see this N of 348, N of 380, bigger cohorts, not finding what I found. So for me, this is a big challenge as a scientist, because I have reported this and they are not finding a similar thing. I was wondering, why are they not finding a similar result as what I found? I actually like it when people find something and publish it before I do, because that means that I thought what I think is correct. And actually, I think it's because of this cohort, which was missing in all the 380 cohorts. which is samples that they did not have, which is percentage compact cells. So I tried to find other people with similar samples as them, and this was through summer school. And here you can see me holding out my hand to this guy who's called Miroslav, and he actually had samples that were similar to mine, and that you can see led to another collaboration. So never underestimate who you meet at conferences, because Jack also I met at a conference, Miroslav I met at the summer school, and we began chatting, and we found that we had similar cohorts, and that's how this publication came about. And the other thing I would like to say was a challenge was that another group, so the one that had 380, they had found something that was similar to me, which was ATP1A1, and they had actually sent it to the journal in 15th of October and published online 17th February. When that came out, my heart was broken because it was similar to what we found. But in the matter of 2 weeks' time, we changed it. We did not give up, even though we had been scooped. And if you see from previous one, we had made it a slightly different title, and it still was able to be published albeit at a later date. But I would say my paper is better. So don't give up even when your data has been scooped. And I actually enjoy it when some other group has actually presented what we were looking at. But make sure to use your data and find a different outlook of the data so that it is still novel, it is still outstanding research. Yeah. That's my side for the 2 questions. Can still look? Sorry.
Elena, you're preparing the slide. You are preparing the slide. I don't have any, you know.
Oh, yeah. I was told that we have to have slides, so that's why I prepared. Sorry, Prof. Hazi.
You are killing me.
Sorry.
All right, it's okay. All right, Dr. Fauzi, Dr. Fauzi, maybe same questions like I gave to Dr. Elena. Yeah, let's hear your view.
Okay, thanks to.
Do you have anything to share?
Yes, nothing, Prof. I didn't prepare anything. I thought it's a santai, right? So Elena killing me now.
Yeah, it's okay. I thought you on.
Okay. If I need to prepare, I will prepare previously. Okay, but it's okay. Okay, for the first question, basically, why I decided to continue as a postgraduate. Previously, I did my master at the first place. I think I'm UKM alumni. I don't have any experience to go overseas like Elena and other students, right? So, but UKM Diatiko is a common thing. Okay, so I start to like venture to the postgraduate since my final project. I think since 2009. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, 2009. Yeah. Final project. Okay.
You were doing masters at that time?
No, that one is undergraduate student. So as a final year project,
undergraduate.
I came from the biomedical science student, and then I got my supervisor is Dato' Ruzima basically. So in that particular time, and I think for 9 months I go and fought some basically from the Jalan Abdul Aziz, right? I forgot. Okay, and SKM, KCKM. So so all the costs I will bear on that particular time, but the experience is really good for me basically, because I don't have any research so-called I call it experience how to do that. So on that particular time also I don't have anybody that really teach me how to focus on the so-called biomaterial. So and Dato' Rizma just provide me as a raw tendon. Okay, you need to extract the collagen from this raw tendon. So I don't know. I never have any like experience how to so-called extract that kind of like really precious thing. at the moment that we already applied to the human, I think in clinical trial. So it's like 10 years job basically. So on that experience and with the I call it the treatment of Dato' Ruzima, I really enjoy the research. I mean research field basically. So after graduate, I continue. Actually, I pursue as a science officer first because don't have any chance at that time to like because of
system,
at SITM. On that time is Tissue Engineering Center lah. Yeah, not yet changed the name basically. So now dah panjang, right? So and then continue I think several years as a science officer, and then I discussed with Dr. Ruzima that I want to pursue the study lah because my aim to be is an academician. So yeah, after I pursue with master, and then I convert to the PhD. So because thank God on that time I managed to like really complete certain percentage of the work whatsoever, and then publication, and then just like apply for the conversion. Alhamdulillah, and then after that turn to like to PhD, and then finish it I think 2017. Okay.
So you were doing part-time at that time. You were also working, right?
Yes. On that time, I don't know the rules and regulation. But the approval from the faculty, I think UK Medical Center, like on that time, and allow it. So and several times inside the meeting, and then I just pursue part-time lah basically. So to do my job and then to do lab work. So meaning that when you do part-time, it's extra time lah. So it's not 8 to 5, you need to do more than 5 p.m. So sometimes work in the lab until 12 midnight, but apparently not more than that lah. So it's not somebody will accompany you at the lab. So as usual, okay. So and then the hurdles basically for the my postgraduate study would be like as I mentioned, I don't have any like real guide. So meaning that we don't have any so-called senior body to help us to venture to that so-called biomaterial field. So the first paper that I did is like I think Prof. Nazano, but the Prof. Yosiko Tabata, that is a paper written by him as a review paper about collagen type 1, 2000, I think 2007 of the paper. So apparently after several years, as Ailina mentioned, you go to conference, don't go somewhere else. Okay, just focus on the conference, find at least 2-3 bodies that are within your field. So at last, after I think 2015, I got like opportunity to go to Prof. Tabata lab basically. So another challenge, I learned something just directly from him. Even his PhD student or master student cannot speak fluently, even in English. So a bit difficult for me. So even me doesn't know how to speak Japanese at that time. Just arigato gozaimasu, that's all. So every day. So but apparently have one like so-called assistant professor on that time can like so-called communicate in English, and then I did learn like 2 or 3 technologies inside his lab, and we bring back and continue. We bring another industry from his so-called network, that's Anita Gelatin, and then we pursue until now all the collaboration. So again, the hurdles don't have any senior doesn't mean you can't learn from the so-called published paper. As usual, you need to digest it and then you need to try. So could you imagine that you start from nothing, right? So I just like extract the pure collagen. That's really simple. You can do like 2-3 months. So you need to 1.5 year just to extract the collagen. It become like high purified so-called compound. So and then you need to pursue with other so-called stages, right, in your study. So I mean the challenges can come at a different so-called time. So how you manage basically to optimize it. Okay, you cannot really stress. If you are really stressed, you can't do much, right? So no progress in your lab work, and then no progress in your publication too, right? And then you always will be like angry by your supervisor and etc. So I like my supervisor's approach. They just throw away the idea and then you just go find it, the information. Okay, even though you go to the seminar, you go to the online version on that time, or you can go directly at particular so-called industry, how to do the extraction, or other faculty or other universities. So yeah, I know it's that a matter of time, money, but the experience really precious basically within your PhD study. I think that's part of Prof. Okay.
So you decide your direction, yeah?
Yes, that's
Yeah, it's not
basically,
your
yeah.
supervisor who dictates, okay, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. It's you own it, so you decide where you want to be. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Dr. Fauzi, how long did you take to complete your PhD? Because you were doing it part time.
Okay. I forgot already. I started 2013. I think I'm graduated 2017. It should be finished earlier. So I think maybe 3.5 years or maybe 3 years. Yeah.
Okay, it's not really
Yeah.
part time. It's like full time PhD.
Yeah, no choice because I
And
need to chase.
GOT.
Yeah, I need to chase my dream. That's all.
Yeah.
So because
Yeah.
because I start late, so I need to chase all the time. So you need to sacrifice. Yeah.
You actually got GOT lah, graduate on time.
I'm not sure because part time have GOT or not. Not sure. But yeah, I guess the calculate the full time, right? It's not part time. Yeah, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah. But the thing is, you completed like early, really early instead of apa ni?
Yeah.
Uh,
But a bit suffered. But
yeah.
should be okay. The sweet come later.
Okay, thanks very much for your sharing, Dr. Fauzi. Okay, yes, we move on to Dr. Azida. Yeah, Dr. Azida did you did your PhD with biochemistry in in biochemistry, right? Biochemistry.
PhD in biochemistry.
PhD biochemistry in UKM.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my fellow. I joined UKM in 2016 as RA. After 2 years being an RA, then I pursue my PhD study. So actually, I don't have any genuine reason why I chose UKM as the first place. But I can see UKM is one of the prestigious public university in Malaysia, and being a research university, so it's a value added to me for the students to actually to facilitate your research progress, so we don't have to actually we are not required to go out to another center or research center or other university to conduct our research. So maybe it might incur some costs. So I think UKM is the best choice. Is the right choice for me. Right? Okay, then going to your second question, how.
Yeah, the challenges that you face.
Yeah, the challenges.
And how you overcame them.
Okay, so actually,
I'm sorry, Dr. Zita, sorry. Is there somebody in the room? Because it's kind of
because I'm in the lab now.
Oh, okay. It's a bit hard to listen. Yeah.
Habis marah kawan dia.
You're in biosis, yeah?
Yeah, in biosis. So in the lab sebenarnya. So memang there's so many active student tengah buat lab work lah. So the challenges masa first I join biochemistry, I actually have no experience conducting animal work. Dan ketika tu di biochemistry, I think only 2 or 3 of us yang buat animal work. And masa tu juga in preclinical building, kita masa tu very unfortunate, kita punya animal lab tu sedang they actually tengah nak set up the lab. So I have no choice. I need to commute from Cheras to pharmacy, UKM in KL, to conduct my lab work. So every day commuting Cheras, KL, and come back to Cheras and continue my work every day. So I'll be in the morning in KL. So petang by 2 or 2:30 I dah ada dekat Cheras to continue my other work. And can you imagine? I drive my own car, letak semua tikus all the cage inside my car, bawa sendiri, because sometimes it's difficult for us to get the transportation. You can nak book all the transport kan. So might as well kita pakai our own transportation lah untuk pergi. Then that's the first thing, commuting. Second thing is to handle the animal, to actually to feed the animal. With no experience, zero experience with animal study, I have to figure out myself because I tak ada senior ketika tu. Dalam lab tu, I seorang saja. Then later baru ada 2-3 orang kawan lah yang join. So I tak tahu macam mana kita nak feed the animal ni. Kalau tak, memang tak jalan lah my research kan. So I terfikir, in order you to learn something, you actually kena help somebody else for you to help yourself. So what I did, I'm very fortunate because my school supervisor is from pharmacology, Professor Malia, Dr. Kodria. So Dr. Kodria actually allowed me to assess pharmacology punya lab ni. So I go and see every of the staff in pharmacology. I still remember Puan Juliana, and then adalah 2-3 orang yang banyak membantu. Then I nampak ada beberapa senior sedang conduct animal work. So apa I buat, I offer them help. Instead of I ask them macam mana step by step to handle, they just tell me A to Z. Lebih baik kita bantu mereka. So I help them. So from there, actually I observe macam mana mereka set up the lab work, how they manage the lab work, macam mana because I have no idea, I cannot imagine, I tak boleh figure out macam mana nak arrange the animal tu. So bila mereka buat, I help. So I nampak the arrangement tu macam mana. So daripada situ I actually learn a lot, and I try to, orang kata, try to come up to improve cara mereka conduct the study tu supaya I boleh gunakan masa yang seminimal yang mungkin, because I punya travel punya duration time tu pun ambil masa. So I cannot afford to stay dekat lab stay back sampai malam lambat-lambat, because tadi pun doktor pun ada cakap kan, takut nanti kita ada peneman lain pula because malam kita pun perempuan kan. So daripada situ I belajar. Okay, so itu salah satu challenges lah. And then my study masa tu I kena prepare multiple heated palm oil where is one of the supplement yang I masukkan dalam the 2% cholesterol chow yang I bagi kepada tikus I. So nak menggoreng, nak prepare the multiple heated oil tu, you have to fry sweet potato for 5 times. So between one heated phase to another phase tu, dia punya gap time is 5 hours. So I have to prepare 5 times heated palm oil. So bermakna I kena prepare satu hari suntuk untuk prepare the heated palm oil. So macam mana, I have no idea juga. Tak pernah buat ni. Macam mana dia goreng sampai macam tu kan. So I tengok macam mana senior ni buat. So dia bagi I idea. So set the time. So all this baru I tahu yang belajar ni you bukan A is A, B is B. You have to use your common sense. You have to be more creative untuk manage your time study. Okay, so I plan masa tu supaya the gap 5 hours tu sempatlah kita tidur, sempatlah kita buat benda lain kan. So tak ada mengganggu kita punya aktiviti yang lain. So then challenges yang I rasa bukanlah challenge sangat, because I actually, alhamdulillah, I complete my PhD study on time. And tapi towards the end tu, kita dah masuk pandemik. Masa tengah writing tu dah start dah pandemik. So baru start pandemik tu. So ketika tu, the difficulties tu, I cuma rasa macam susah the communication dengan supervisor. And then we need one-to-one supervision. I mean macam kita nak berjumpa dengan supervisor tapi kita terpaksa communicate through email, handphone, WhatsApp. Jadi susah, tak sampai. Sometimes tak dapat apa yang kita nak tu. Dan dia bagi makes you somehow stress lah. Tapi berbalik pada ni, rasa is how you actually you punya mula-mula before you masuk ke dalam, you join UKM tu, apa you punya aim, objective you. Because I selalu share dengan my, I tak panggil junior senior lah, my colleague lah kan, kawan-kawan di biochemistry tu, kalau kita berbual, selalu I cakap, bila you dah masuk selangkah kaki you, sebenarnya tak ada siapa pun paksa you untuk sambung belajar untuk you buat postgraduate study ni. It's you sendiri yang decide, you sendiri yang cari supervisor, you sendiri yang datang offer untuk sambung belajar. Once you dah step in, there's no turning back. Itu I punya prinsip. Jangan fikir yang you dah masuk ni, you akan patah balik. Apa pun jadi, you habiskan study you sampai habis. Itu yang pertama. Dan yang kedua, hari yang pertama you masuk, you dah boleh set you punya goals tu to graduate on time. And there's some issue people talking about graduate on time. Oh, when you say graduate on time, you give some pressure to the students sebenarnya. Kenapa nak kena graduate on time? In overseas, I think dia tak highlight kan tu pasal graduate ni mesti kena graduate on time ke tak. So kat Malaysia kita selalu cakap, oh kena GOT. But to me, ada pro and cons dia lah. Yeah, so I always look at the good side of it. So kalau GOT ni actually, bila you set to finish your work on time, sebenarnya dia dah ada buat you set your goals tu, membuatkan you tak akan ambil terlalu lama or being carried away dengan macam apa-apa. Like bila you buat lab work, you akan sometimes you dapat apa yang you nak, sometimes you tak dapat kan. Bila you tak dapat, you akan, biasalah you get down, stress kan. Then you get carried away. Kalau you layan keadaan tu, you akan drag the time. So bila drag the time, your lab work pun akan drag juga. So you akan masa yang lama, so you tak akan dapat habis pada masa yang sepatutnya you habis. Bila you tak dapat habis pada waktu yang sepatutnya you habis, you akan dapat masalah lain pula. Masalah seterusnya dengan student yang common problem is financial. Whether you like it or not, you have to pay the full cost of the semester. And then itu pun akan jadi satu masalah. Bila you ada financial problem, okay, itu start the MIA drama. Student akan,
kan?
yes, betul. These are the causes student hilang. Bila student hilang, ada student yang berani untuk beritahu, to share the problems dengan supervisor or dengan department ke dengan faculty. Tapi ada student yang kita kena faham, tak semua student yang ada orang kata jati diri yang kuat untuk dia bercakap. Jadi dia akan simpan untuk diri dia sendiri dan dia tak akan beritahu. Dan masalah tu hanya macam tu saja, tak selesai. Sampai satu masa jabatan cari, supervisor cari, nama-nama masuk dalam meeting. Okay, masa tu dah ada problem because dia dah dapat tahu dia dah, orang kata, dah menjadi satu isu di peringkat jabatan. Okay, dekat situ dia dah create perasaan fear tu, dah takut dah. Mulalah anxiety, tak mau contact the supervisor, dan kita lost lah. Tak mau kawan-kawan pun kita tak nak cakap. So bila kita dah lost, nanti kita akan buat decision. Kata quit. Padahal kita dah melalui perjalanan yang sangat susah. You buat lab work, you pagi, siang, malam, petang, you buat lab work. And then you dah sampai peringkat you writing, dah nak write up. Tapi because of financial problem, dah stop your, apa orang kata, semangat you untuk habiskan study you. So, saya fikir ini semua termasuk dalam challenges yang most student akan face.
Okay. Dr. Azidah pun ada tadi share tips juga kan, selain daripada yang challenges. Okay, tak apa. Kita itu sharing yang bagus lah. Ya? Okay, maybe we can hear Dr. Helmi punya point of view pula. Dr. Helmi did his bachelor in dekat UMT, and then PhD terus dekat UM kan.
Yes.
So sama macam Dr. Azidah juga, you converted your master's project to PhD, upgrade Betul ke Dr. Helmi?
No,
Ah.
I actually I tak convert my study. I did my master in medical science in UiTM.
Oh ya, ya. Dr. Fauzi kan convert ya? Convert, ya, yes. Okay. Dr. Helmi pun sama lah ya. You
Yeah.
take your PhD. Okay.
Yes, Dr. Norliza.
You did it in University of Malaya. Okay. Ya, kenapa pilih UM ya?
Okay, so I think for me, I have 3 reasons why I choose UM. The first one is actually related to the research topic, okay, topic of interest. Okay, at that time, the supervisor actually offered to me the project that I think I like, which is related to the infertility. Okay, the project related to the hyperandrogenism. Okay, that's the first reason, because I believe that if we do something that we like or we are interested in that topic, it is easier for us to understand the research topics, and also we become more enthusiastic, okay, to carry out the research project that related to the topic of the interest. Okay, so that's the first factors. Okay, the first factor. Okay, the second one, I think it is actually related to the selections of the supervisor. Okay, pada saya pemilihan supervisor sangat penting for postgraduate study. Okay, tak kisahlah sama ada di peringkat master or PhD, because a good relationship between the supervisor and the student is very important in determining the success of a graduate student. Okay, because a postgraduate student will communicate regularly with the supervisor for a long period of time. Okay, starting from the first day he or she registered for the postgraduate program until the end of the study or the research to be completed. Okay, so meaning that the supervisor actually will be in our life for a few years. Okay, so kalau kita tak pilih betul-betul, and kita pun akan rasa kurang happy dengan keadaan tersebut. So secara tak langsung ia tidak membantu untuk membolehkan kita mempunyai perjalanan penyelidikan yang baik. Okay, therefore the selection of a supervisor for me is very important to maintain the smoothness of the research project. Okay, so regarding the supervisor, okay, my supervisor at UC Malaya actually very helpful and also resourceful. He guided me very well starting from the application process, okay, and then he also explained to me what are the opportunities that I can get, okay, by registering as a postgraduate student at the University of Malaya. Okay, one of that is the scholarship. Okay, at that time, UC Malaya menawarkan scholarship ataupun kita beasiswa kepada semua pelajar yang mendaftar untuk projek postgrad. Okay, sama ada pelajar master or PhD, in which this the scholarship will cover the tuition fees and also monthly allowances. Okay, so kiranya dia sangat membantulah untuk pelajar, especially for me. I moved from Johor Bahru to Kuala Lumpur and then start my study in Kuala Lumpur. So at that time, we need money to cover the expenses and so on. So at that time, UC Malaya offer the scholarship to all the postgraduate students. So that's why I choose University of Malaya for my PhD study. Okay.
Scholarship covers the fees as well as your daily expenses, yeah?
Yes, betul. So they cover the dua. So fees pun dia cover, and then daily expenses pun dia cover. So dia bagi, I think at that time around 108,000 for monthly. So it should be enough lah untuk bayar sewa rumah dan sebagainya.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the University of Malaya, actually, I started with masters. Okay, I registered as a master student. Okay, and then at the 3rd semester, I convert my study from master to PhD. Okay, dekat sini ada sedikit problem yang mana at that time, masa I submit the application, actually terlepas 2 hari daripada tarikh akhir. Okay, terlepas 2 hari saja daripada tarikh akhir, because at University of Malaya dia punya timeline tu very fixed. Okay, kalau dia cakap, okay, in the second semester tu, kalau in 3rd semester, contohnya bulan kedua, mesti bulan kedua. Kalau terlebih, dia tak akan proceed with the application. But at that time, my head of department probably try to persuade the person in charge at the Siswaza untuk proceed dengan permohonan. Okay, actually my permohonan pass at the department and also faculty level. Tapi bila sampai ke Senate, because the faculty report that kiranya kita hantar tu 2 hari terlewat, so Senate actually reject the application at the first part lah. So after that, my head of department dan juga my supervisor cakap, why not you email to VC? about this problem, okay? To ask VC to help for this problem because the permohonan actually dah lepas. Apa tu, untuk presentation semua dah lepas. So kiranya panel dah perlakukan permohonan untuk dibawa, kiranya ke senat lah untuk diluluskan. Tapi senat reject because of lepas 2 hari itu saja.
Yeah.
So bila fikir, since my supervisor and also my head of department actually encouraged me to email VC regarding this problem. So I said okay lah, I try to email VC, and Alhamdulillah VC replied my email and he said that he will look at these matters lah. And Alhamdulillah in the next Senate meeting they approve my application. Okay, so dekat sini actually that is the challenge. And bila my supervisor and also my HOD suruh saya email to the VC, actually at faculty, staff at faculty cakap better tak payah email lah, dia cakap, sebab kalau dah sekali tak approve, dia memang takkan approve, dia cakap. Tapi my supervisor and also my head of department cakap, why not you just try? Mana tahu ada rezeki kan? So ada rezeki kan, you can convert your master to PhD and you can save beberapa tahun, and then you graduate with PhD. So that's why I tried to email, and then Alhamdulillah perkara tu dapat diselesaikan lah. Okay, that's the first challenge during my master and PhD journey. I think the second challenge is actually the problem related to the motivation. Okay, because with a program that typically taking at least 3 years, okay, it's hard to maintain the motivation throughout the whole PhD project. Okay, sometimes we feel bored, we feel fed up, or dissatisfied with others' project, which is a very common experience. So when the things are not going well and the motivation is low, I think we should consider to give ourselves a break. Okay, so what I'm doing, I will take about few days or even a week to go for holiday, okay, away from the project, which sometimes can be really helpful, in which it allows us to come back to our work and able to look it from a fresh perspective. Okay, then when we come back to the lab, and then we can see that something different before you had missed it. Okay, so I think that is how we can overcome the problem related to the motivation. Okay, because to do research, we need enthusiasm, optimism, and also dedication, because it's a long project. Maybe the minimum semester for UKM for PhD is 6 semesters, but sometimes it can go up to 10 to 12 semesters. Okay, so all these things, motivation sometimes will be high, although unless we try to keep things very and then we try to do something that interesting and realistic. Okay, so my advice is always bear in mind that we are actually primarily doing our PhD, which is for ourselves. Okay, so be proactive and don't wait for someone to tell us what to do. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Thank you. Oh, okay, Dr. Norliza.
She got disconnected.
The rest saya tak pakai slides lah.
It's okay, Elina. Interesting. Elina wakil kita untuk share slide. Kan, Fauzi?
She's killing us, you know, to provide those nice slides. All the script just in my mind, Elena.
Dr. Liza?
Okay, that's a question, right?
Yeah.
I think you need to wait the moderator.
Fauzi, you answer lah dulu.
No, Elena, I know you have the slide, right? You can share. What is the most important characteristic for a good supervisor? Oh my God. Elena, I think you should answer this question because I'm not the good supervisor.
Kat Sabtu, your student kat sini ni. Orang student ada kat sini.
Single Semula, I think, yeah, my student saw there. That's Prof.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
I don't know what happened to the internet line in pharmacology. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
Prof. Yes.
Yes,
I think we
yes.
do have one question maybe for you.
Yes, apa dia?
What is the most important characteristic for a good supervisor?
Pula dah. You all dah tiba ni. I'm supposed to be getting ideas from you lah. Okay, anyway. Okay, I have a suspicion that they disconnect our line at 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Okay, alright. I think before we got disconnected again, okay, kita dengar sharing from Adila pula boleh? Adila.
Boleh.
Adila
Assalamualaikum.
sekarang tengah buat PhD ya?
Yes, correct.
Sem 6 kan?
Yes, currently I'm doing the PhD. Currently I'm dalam semester 6. So basically this should be my last final semester. Because of the COVID and pandemic, beberapa semester sebelum ini dah terwasted. I'm doing study in hospital setting. My subject would be the patients in the hospital. So
before that, Adila, kenapa you decide to choose UKM for your PhD?
Yeah, okay. Betul. Nak jawab soalan itu dulu, Doktor. Alright. So basically, okay, I will answer this based on my experience and own perspective. I was looking for a PG program years before I registered and started in UKM. So during that time, before I started registering, doing the searching about the PG program, dah beberapa lama. So I spoke to multiple friends, those who are still doing PhD and those who are graduated from PhD, and some UKM alumni, some are doing PhD in other local universities, and some graduated overseas. So I speak to them a lot and ask about their experience just to get the gist of it. And then I tried email, also met with potential supervisors. So I did this before starting my program. So this is just to understand the potential supervisors. Looking for supervisors kan tadi, Dr. Helmi ada mention supervisors is very, very important to click with. So I'm trying to get to know the supervisors, understand their work, and also their expectations of the students that may run their projects that they plan to have. And also I applied and attended multiple interviews for scholarships. Well, so it takes years before I actually embark into this journey. So after all that searching, so I know that I have to decide on what should I do, what field area should I explore, and then who is my supervisor, and who should I follow, and where should I go. So all these questions basically should be answered if it match my capability and my capacity for the next 3 to 4 years. So that's how I decide. So my financial support, I go by financial support dulu lah, because I'm working in private, so there are not much lab or scheme that can offer me for study. So I have my own financial backup. So based on my financial backup, which is not that much, so it's only allow me to study in this country. So go by the financial yang kita ada lah basically. So so then it's important to choose the place that is not too far. So I live in Klang Valley, so UKM is one of the options. Before UKM, I went to UM and looked for potential supervisors, and actually they have project there. And then this is the project that currently we're working on. We have a collaboration with UM, and they placed me in UKM to do the project here, to conduct the project here. So we have the collaboration with UM as well. So coming to UKM, I think it's not that bad at that time because it's reachable. It's convenient timing, it's reachable. reachable, although dekat KL ni sangat-sangat jam, but it's still okay for me. With affordable fee, okay, yang itu yang I take into consideration because I pay for myself and also other expenses as well for the duration of this study. So I'm looking for the field work, not so much in the lab work because I'm not familiar and I prefer to do human studies. So this field work should be meeting my current skill qualification and also interest, or at least when I first overview the proposal, I know that the project is suitable and at least sufficient to fulfill my need at that time. And then I know that we can go about the project and shoot. Mungkin ada pertukaran bila kita dah go on the project kan, kita tahu what should be done after that. We just mungkin tukar sikit untuk suit our skill qualification. So that was what I think at the initial stage. And then Alhamdulillah, I got this project. I'm doing the epidemiological study in the hospital. Hence, to carry the project at the hospital setting, a teaching hospital where the supervisors are around and they are approachable, this is a bonus for me. So that's why I'm choosing UKM. Masa tu dah okay, kita go for UKM. All right. So after that, the team agreed to proceed with the project. I went through a pilot project with the team, and I found the team is optimist. They are optimistic about the project, and then they are also supportive towards the students. So that's the bonus mark. Okay, I think the students are looking for that. And then I think apart from that, the facility in UKM is considered adequate. I consider the parking, I consider the cafe, I consider all the expenses, the library, and then I have my own workspace. Okay, then that's great. Let's just go for it. Okay. So during at the earlier stage, I think the environment is welcoming when I was first introduced. So it's pleasant. So that's how I ended up doing my study in this university, in this faculty and in pharmacology department. So among the challenges, I agree with everyone, the motivation, the financial, and also the commitment when they have family, when they have friends. So these are the common challenges, and the prof and doctors are all panelists. You have been through this. So maybe I can share what I do when I facing these challenges. Especially, although I've been working all this while, but once I become a student, so I set myself, this is a student. So the biggest challenge is, I know to get things done within the time frame is a big challenge, and then to fulfill the expectation of the funder and fulfill the expectation of the collaborators, the research team, the supervisors, and also to fulfill our own expectation to GOT and to publish a few papers. So those are the expectations that we have to fulfill. So I think, yeah, these all require knowledge, which I know that time, tak ada knowledge sangat, and then skill, which I do not master yet. So this thing, by hook or by crook, yes, for knowledge, you have to read or ask around, ask people who knows, and watch how successful people done it, and adopt and adapt into our own style. Okay, and I like all the PhD student or the master student, if you have this problem, just do it, baca, and just do it, try to do it. And okay, and then the problem with time management, I think this is the biggest problem of the PhD or master student. Time management, I'm still struggling with time management always. And this is the component that make the student stress out because most of the time due to the deadline and such. Okay, and then procrastination sickness appear. I think you agree with me, procrastination. Okay, and then the low motivation. And so I think one tip that I can share with all the PG friends out there is learn from the successful people where they always start early. So this is also sunnah, kan? to wake up early. You can wake up at 6, but wake up earlier at 5, or even better at 4. So start your day early, and then pray at early hour. So inshallah it will get better, inshallah. Okay.
Ada orang tanya, do you have any tips for PhD Mami? Adila, you dah bagi tadi, wake up early, huh? Apa dia?
Yeah. Wake up early.
Tips for PhD Mami ya? Okay, wake up early kan?
Wake up early, then do all the chores. And then what I did, I tried this priority matrix. They call it Eisenhower priority matrix, where you know what is important for you, what is not urgent, and then what you can discard. Look for it. So and put all the tasks into this matrix, and you can decide which one should you do first. So this is good. Try it. And then I think I easily distracted. Sometimes Korean drama calling, movies calling, bed calling, kitchen calling. Semua tu is a big distraction, especially during the MCO period. So one tip that all PG friends can do, you all can apply Pomodoro technique. Yeah, this is very good, where you can do things for 20 or 30 minutes, and then you take a break. Yes, it works for me. So I think all PG friends can use.
Do you use any productivity app macam Notion ke?
Notion?
Tak. Any productivity app?
Not really.
Oh, really?
Not really. I think we set our mind. It's always about what we think. So if we think we want to do things, we think we want to study, then we can study actually. But if you think later lah, then it's the problem. I think we need to work out on the thinking je. Itu je. For me lah.
Alright, thanks Adila. Okay, tadi ada question during my disconnection tadi ada characteristics for good supervisor. I baru tengok chat kan. Okay, but I think that question is related to my another question which I asked the panelists to prepare earlier. Okay, on the tips how to be a good and successful postgraduate student, as well as both from the students and supervisors perspective. Okay, so I think you can cover juga. Okay, what are the characteristics of supervisors that you look for as a student? Kan you look for what kind of characteristics in a supervisor? Okay, maybe I get Dr. Elina to answer this one first.
Okay, so the prepared question and answer was how to be a good and successful postgraduate student. So kalau nak supervisor, I have to think on my feet. Okay, so first start with the postgraduate. Okay, so I think for postgraduate, do tell if you can't hear me. Participate in the intellectual community of your department and campus. Okay, so you participate with your colleagues, with your junior, senior, all, you seek input, you calibrate. Basically, do not isolate yourself. You see your project, you do your project. So you don't take note of your group members and your other group that is in. I always feel that you should listen out, communicate, and you can gain ideas from each other. So even if there's like optional seminars, not really in your field, or lecturers that is beyond your program or department, if it interests you, why not take a it doesn't have to be directly related to your project on ABC, protein, whatever, gene, whatever. So, and when you attend, just like Prof. Fauzi kata tadi, when you attend and present at conference, janganlah, okay, I've done my poster, I've done my presentation, I'm not going to listen to what others going to say. I'm going to go and visit the sites. Don't do that. This is your opportunity to network. This is your opportunity to gain what is, because stuff that is presented at conference are all new things, are all not yet published things. And here is where you can actually jump into someone else's project and join and collaborate. And I think that's how we should use conferences for. So don't think yourself as a student, think yourself already a member of the field. You know, you are already a professional, you are already part of this academic adventure, okay? But at the same time, you are a student, so know your program requirements and timelines. So your proposal, ethics, bila, publication, presentation, GOT, all that you have to know. And so to make sure that you are, you know, going to your proposal on time, ethics, presentation, publication, and all that, and you want to GOT, try and make sure you have a plan. So you have a plan, not the supervisor have a plan for you. You have a plan, and you know your project Gantt chart. I mean, even if it's the proposal was made by a supervisor and you are just joining in, know that Gantt chart. That should be your Gantt chart. And then you can schedule the meetings with your supervisor. And I find that, you know, maybe at the start, this was the proposal that you had or was given by a supervisor, but you need to know what new things are out there, what opportunities. So that's when journal clubs are important, or literature review, just to be kept update. And I think, you know, like, this is the option where you can attend conferences, summer schools, stuff that add values to your professional development. Lastly, maybe make sure, maybe related to your next one, your next question, Dr. Niza, is to have a positive relationship with your supervisor and members of your group. So not only with your supervisor, but also your team members, your group members. You should, you know, regularly meet up. And I think social is very important, to socialize with your group members. But when you meet with your supervisor or AJK, supervisory AJK, make sure you know what that meeting is for. Don't come kosong-kosong je, blur-blur je, muka blur. Apa dia? Nak apa? No. You come with a purpose, okay? And you know, and don't wait for your supervisor to ask from you, okay, today buat apa, esok buat apa, lusa nak buat apa, semalam buat apa. You know, you inform your progress and what challenge, because the supervisor doesn't know what the challenges you are facing. If you don't tell, we don't know. So don't act like a student, act like a junior colleague. So you ask the question, you suggest ideas, show interest, you tell what the goals are. So I think that's from the supervisor punya point of view. Student point of view.
Students.
So, from supervisor, I rasa maybe lah, for me, I didn't really choose my supervisor because of the supervisor per se, but more because of the topic. But I think what I would say is make sure that they have time for you. So if too busy or takes time to answer to your email, then maybe, you know, maybe that's not a good option, even if she or he is superb in his field and everything. But if he cannot answer, and what I noticed, like when in collaboration with people, I always notice that when I actually write to someone, say I want to have some of their cells, or in collaboration, a good collaborator would always reply within the week. And I know that it's going to go somewhere, even if it's to say no or anything, but I know they are interested in the topic and they take me seriously. So for me, I will put that as a same characteristic in a supervisor. If they are interested in you, they will reply to you. Something like that.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, Dr. Elina. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Fauzi pula, what do you think of from both from students and supervisors' perspective, how to become a good and successful postgraduate students? And then later you can answer the characteristics for a good supervisor.
Okay, thanks, Prof. How to say, basically, okay, to be like a good student, right, and a good supervisor. Okay, we touched about the good student. Basically, subjective lah. Okay, because currently I have like I mean my main student maybe I think around 12. Okay, I think sorry 11. So each of them have their own characteristic. That's why I mentioned to you, if you are really someone that really stand out also, they cannot like really meet, the, what you call it now, it's like a key and lock lah, basically. So you need to be like a mold for them. So because each of student they have their own like so-called attitude characteristic, right? But against a human being, but it will reach the maximum level. Sometimes you need to put a barrier, maybe something that really, what I call it, you need to follow even my rules, okay? Some sort of that. It's not really cruel. Basically, if not, you need to set up rules that everyone could like really react with your, action, and then at last you will have the so-called the output. Okay, most of these things, even my own so-called like really intention and desire for my future student, I will ask in the interview. So first will be like commitment. So basically commitment in terms of do you like really eager to proceed with this so-called study? Okay, second will be like commitment in terms of your money. So meaning that always will cover, in terms of the tuition fee and etc. Okay, for example, if like something like Jared, I think Prof also know like Jared never enough for the student itself. So the commitment in terms of this so-called how to cover this and that, for the whole study, at least for master 2 years, right? So and then PhD will be like maybe 3 years. So do you have so-called those allocation? How about your stay and etc. Even my international student, I will ask the same question. So if like those criteria is already meet from each other, so I will challenge them basically in terms of so-called knowledge. So most of the time I just pass through one paper, you summarize this paper. What's your understanding? So basically from there, I know this fellow will be like good in writing. In terms of paper, review paper, or maybe original research paper. Is it capable or not? So no choice. You need to choose the best student among the best, right? So because you have as a supervisor, I think for every student, as a supervisor, I think every supervisor is like a PI, principal investigator, and he or she has their responsibility to answer to the funder. Either MOSTI, even MOHE, even our RU, SST funder, right? So without like fulfill the KPI, you will be like so-called banned, and you will be more responsible to answer that. So that is your responsibility to choose the best student, because we never know them basically. So most of the time we will give like some like allocated time, 2-3 months, for example like SITM. So most of the time we interview, I will give you for free, increase knowledge. You can use our facility within 3 months. You and your future supervisor will like have a so-called a close discussion, and you can meet face to face, and then you can like so-called venture, is it you meet or suit with that supervisor or not, and the supervisor, is it your fit with the student or not? Okay, because every lecturer, every supervisor have their own perspective, so and then their own style. But at last, he or she want the best among all the students. Okay, so for me to be a good student, be responsible. Okay, for example, if you promise to be like A, you need to deliver the A. Okay, we don't want you promise to be A and then you deliver to be Z. So meaning that it's matter of the quality of output, and then the matter of time. I have a student to promise me, it's like in terms of review paper, maybe 6 months, almost 2 years, nothing, even first draft. Okay, so it's every student have their own capabilities. You need to understand, but it's not my style to be like spoon fed. So it's like same like goes to Elena. So most of the time you need to decide what would be like the best for your study. So we always give like whatever approved previously for the proposal, it can be improved, because that is proposal. It's a kertas cadangan, right? Sometimes the whatever the cadangkan is not really fit with that particular time. So maybe there's another so-called technology, another approach that you need to put in. Okay, don't think about the money. Bench fee to cover your study, but think about the idea. Okay, if your supervisor is better in terms of knowledge against you, so it's not he or she is not the best teacher, and he or she is not the best student of you. Okay, the student always need to be good, better than supervisor for sure. I think Prof. Norliza also know that tell me you have a lot of work. You can't even read one paper in 1 week. Okay, so if like you have the admin post, you will be crazy more than that. Okay, basically, as a student, you need to have the focus on the milestone activity. The Gantt chart is really important. Because sometimes people or student, even me, like previously, doesn't care about the Gantt chart. I want to do my work. Okay, but the thing is it you do your work efficiently or not? So, for example, you have 6 months. So you want to finish it within 3 months, or you want to finish it near to 6 months. So you can think about it, because within 6 months, you not even sometimes can't complete even one things, right? But if you well manage, you can do two parameters concurrently. That's why the strategy is really important. Okay, not the matter of time, but the strategy. So you want to do. I have students that do one by one. Okay, if like tak jadi, continue. Tak jadi, continue. So it will be drag your semester for sure. So they will drag the output, and then the supervisor as a PI need to answer why you need to have the extension for this research. So that's why you need to work together in your team. That's why the senior body, I mean the meeting with the supervisor is really important. For example, my research group, I will have like twice a month. So one a big meeting, another one is the one-to-one meeting with the student. So sometimes dia ada hard feeling kan nak discuss. So that one-to-one cannot be like whole bulk of the meeting in one day. So because I just just like allocate one day to just like have a 15 minute each of them to be like update. If not, that you can see that every one of them will be like delay and keep quiet. So you need to track them. You need to put GPS on them. So my GPS will be like WhatsApp lah. Even though sometimes WhatsApp is not really readable and etc. So you need to call. No choice. Okay. So okay, as a supervisor, as I mentioned, to be a good supervisor, basically, okay, for me as a student to select the supervisor, I don't have any choice on that particular time, because so-called Dr. Rozima is the one of the pioneer of tissue engineering. I love to do the tissue engineering on that particular time. So I pursue with this fellow, even though I heard many news about her, but I don't care. So because in my head, I just want to learn something new. Okay, even though in Malaysia already, I think around 10 years on that time. So we need to venture at this particular field. So apparently, as mentioned previously, we don't have the expert. So you need to initiate, and then you have no choice. You need to collaborate. Okay, either with our local, our colleague researchers, and also the international. So as I mentioned to previously, Elena, I don't have any experience to study abroad. So I bring the international researcher to UKM. So at least my students have the experience how to deal with, I mean, in terms of international research, that expert in the field. Okay, another thing, we need to send them out. So to do like some attachment. So at least 1 month. Okay, to have the gist. Okay, what is the environment when you do in, for example, Japan lab, for example, in Italy lab, for example, in maybe US lab, right? So it could be different. Okay, so for example, you successfully to extract something or culture something, doesn't mean you bring back to Malaysia it will be successful. I heard many stories. Oh, I did this in overseas, jadi, and back to UKM tak jadi. Because of what? Facility also the same. We have the well maintained, but what is the real, I mean, issue behind that? So that's the challenge. I mean, as a student need to be like to solve the problem lah. Basically, most of the time, its environment is different for sure. So maybe the quality of all the reagent, etc. You need to like optimize. So re-optimization will be like need to do like basically. Even most of my clique that back from overseas, they need to do some like modification. No choice. They try to duplicate, doesn't work in our lab. So that's a hectic part. Okay. So to be a good student, as I mentioned, is subjective. I mean, as a supervisor, you need to put basic rules that you need to follow. That's normally I did in the interview. I know if some of my students break the rules. Okay, even though some of them is not really go to the lab. Basically, I know in that particular time. So, but when we have a one-to-one session, that's why a lot of issue will be raised on that particular time. So sometimes a big group they will not really discuss, but one-to-one session, you know, ada menangis, ada happy, ada whatsoever kan. So even as a group members pun is not really trust each other. Oh, prof, they do like this, it's not success lah. I try to duplicate. So that's your job to verify. And then after that, you need to discuss. So what is the optimum so-called procedure for you to successfully to have the output, some sort of that. So as good, I mean, supervisor, This is my perspective. Okay, this one recorded. Okay, my God. Okay, so my own perspective would be like I want them like to be independent. That's all. So we just throw them away. Okay, but it's not away. Doesn't have the bonded between them, but throw them away to like really challenge them. Okay, for example, okay, the A cannot be B. Why? So try to digging out, information from the published paper, or you can ask even so-called email to the international or local researchers and duplicate it. And after that, we discuss. So independence is really important as a postgraduate. Okay, as a master student, you need to mastering each step of all the parameters that you set up in the research. As a PhD, you are no need to mastering because you should be expert on that. So what you need to do, creative, innovative for your study. That's the most important. And yeah, I think Azidah mentioned about the so-called GOT is important, not important. Okay. But I know that one GOT is more towards a KPI. But basically, if you like really venturing in our so-called duration of fund is within 3 years, for example. So that's why they set up, for example, like 3 years for the PhD to be complete. So you need to do that basically. Okay, for example, you dragging the study, right, more than 3 years, who want to cover that? Okay, even your PI, your PI cannot answer that. How I want to find more money to cover you? That's why, as a supervisor, he or she already get the fund. You as a student have advantage to run the project. That is your responsibility to finish within that period. That's the most important. Give and take lah, basically. Okay, experience, yeah, you can have it, but the work basically need to finish within the timeline. That is our so-called like if not, you are killing your supervisor for sure. And then maybe next 2 years he or she cannot get any grant because of this particular issue. So basically, yeah, supervisor and student should be have the give and take lah for me. So that's why to be a good student, to be a good supervisor is most of the time is subjective lah. Okay, that's all, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Helmi. Okay, Dr. Helmi pula. Dr. Fauzi. Okay, alright, Dr. Helmi pula. Okay, can we hear your views? Okay, what do you look for in the students? And maybe boleh share juga the characteristics for a good supervisor.
Okay, all right. Okay, I think for the student, how to be a good and successful postgraduate student, I think the first one, you need to focus on your goal. Okay, whether it is an immediate goal, okay, for example, the deadline or activity or your assignment, and also the longer term goal. Okay, for example, when you want to graduate. Okay, for example, when you register for your PhD program, so when you are expecting you will complete your study. Okay, within 3 years, 4 years, and so on. Okay, that's the first one. And then the second one, you need also to consider where your studies are leading you. Okay, because life happens, so you need to keeping your aim firmly with your side, which will encourage you to do your research. And then dia akan membantu juga for you untuk memastikan your motivation, to keep the motivation high. Okay, then if you menghadapi sebarang permasalahan, you need to seek the advice from your supervisor. Okay, especially the things that related to your research and also your study. Okay, as a student and also the supervisor, we need to maintain a regular contact, okay, with the student and also the student with the supervisor. Okay, we need to take on board and act on their feedback. Okay, because the supervisor is an essential point of contact for your study. So basically, because the supervisor also have the same experience. Okay, for example, masa dia buat PhD, masa dia buat master dulu kan. So at least dia dah ada experience, okay, tentang bagaimana sebenarnya proses ini akan berlaku. So the supervisor could give invaluable advice. Okay, and also the supervisor should be there to support the student within their own studies. Okay, because I think the relationship between the student and supervisor is very important. Okay, kalau misalnya tidak ada relationship yang baik, mungkin dekat situ mungkin akan ada miscommunication yang mana akan menyebabkan berlakunya mungkin kesalahfahaman, ataupun pelajar pun nak tanya soalan kepada supervisor pun mungkin akan takut-takut dan sebagainya. Because I believe that as a good supervisor, we need to support the student. Okay, we need to give ataupun allocate our time to the student. Okay, walaupun sebusy mana pun seseorang supervisor, kita harus memberikan masa untuk berjumpa dengan pelajar kita. Saya rasa itu adalah merupakan antara salah satu ciri supervisor yang baiklah. Sebab apa? Masa ini diperlukan supaya kita dapat lihat balik, okey, bagaimana pencapaian semasa student, okey, bagaimana ataupun apa masalah yang berlaku. So sama-sama kita berbincang untuk memastikan any problem that the student encounter can be solved, okay, by the student and also the supervisor. Okay, then I think as a student you need to manage your time wisely, okay, because you have 6 semesters, okay, or 3 years, okay, for your PhD. So you need to manage it very well, okay, because to survive your postgraduate program, because you may have to juggle between the demands of the work, okay, family, and also the social life, okay. So it can be challenging to find the discipline, okay. You need to complete your lab work and also to have a good time management skill. So I think the time management is very important for a student, okay. Next, one more thing. I think the student should not compare your PhD project or your master project with others. Okay, sometimes student ni dia suka tahu untuk compare. Okay, this project and other project. Okay, kenapa ada project tu lebih banyak parameters, and then dia start dah takut nanti bila viva nanti okay mungkin tak pass dan sebagainya. Please don't compare your project to the others because all study have different, they are all different. Okay, so don't worry if you have more or less data or paper or experience than your peers. Okay, for example, mungkinlah ada seorang student ni can produce sampai 3, 4 paper dan sebagainya. Tapi you hanya mampu untuk produce 2 sahaja. It's okay because syarat untuk bergraduate adalah to produce 2 papers. Okay, that's all. As long as you dah cover syarat untuk bergraduate. So janganlah kita nak membanding-bandingkan, okay, try to compare dengan projek-projek yang lain, okay, because kita sendiri yang faham projek kita bagaimana, okay, and like what Dr. Fauzi said today, as a student, okay, you sepatutnya kena lebih tahu berbanding dengan orang lain, even berbanding dengan you punya supervisor, because you yang buat that project, okay, so please don't ever compare your project dengan yang lain, and then don't feel so pressure, and then try to take the frequent short break because working non-stop ni pun tak bagus because it will affect your health. Try to balance between your study with your works and also your lifestyle. Okay, I think that's the tips how to be a good and successful postgraduate student.
Itulah Dr. Helmi dah 2 kali dah remind us to take a break kan? Go somewhere. Take a holiday ya, Dr. Helmi. Kalau boleh supervisor belanja juga sikit ya. No lah, you go for a holiday and balik tu bawa supervisor kan. Okay, Dr. Helmi, do you schedule your your meeting time with the student like this week mesti setiap minggu mesti jumpa 2 kali macam tu ke, or you wait for the students to see you depend on their own initiative ke macam mana?
Okay, at first actually I believe that students should have their own initiative. Okay, at first I will wait for the student to come to see me. Okay, contohnya kalau dalam 2 minggu tu kalau dah tak ada datang jumpa, so that at that part I think I need to take an action lah. I can call or WhatsApp them. Okay, minta jumpa and then untuk update the progress. Because to be a good postgraduate student, kita juga student perlu menjadi seorang yang kita kata mature and also independent. Okay, not every time misalnya you nak report something, you kena tunggu your supervisor call you. Okay, your supervisor text you, WhatsApp you. Okay, you need to take your own kita kata punya approach ataupun punya kita kata inisiatif. Okay, untuk datang berjumpa dengan supervisor. Okay, tunjuk pada supervisor. Sama ada you got the results or not, it's not the problem. Tapi at least you inform the supervisor about your research progress. Okay, tentang progress tu. Tapi biasalah, sometimes student at the first 1 or 2 semesters, dia sendiri yang semangat, dia datang untuk jumpa kita. Tapi lama-lama memang kita kena cari juga. Tapi itu biasalah. Saya dulu pun macam tu juga. So that's why, okay, kita kena sabar and then kita try untuk atasi that's problem. Okay.
Okay, thanks Dr. Helmi. Dr. Aziza, I know tadi you dah share banyak
Saya.
tips. Yeah, okay, maybe boleh ada lagi kau tertinggal ke, boleh share tips how to be a good and successful postgraduate student ni, and also maybe kan the characteristics that you look for in a supervisor.
Actually kan banyak point yang I nak share hari ni, Dr. Hauzi, Dr. Helmi dan Dr. Alina dah share. So I maybe boleh cakap sikit lah. Pertama sekali I rasa student ya, karakter student you, bila tadi macam I cakap, you kena ada objektif, you dah set your goals, bila you masuk je, you register as a student, you dah tahu dah, tak ada siapa yang paksa you belajar, you dah tahu apa you nak buat, you dah faham project you semua, everything, you know your supervisor very well, semua. Dan kemudian you kena ada satu lagi karakter, iaitu adab. Banyak student ni tak tahu tentang adab belajar ni. Adab belajar ni mana siapa yang mencari ilmu tu, dia yang kena mencari guru tu, bukan guru tu yang pergi cari dia. So ada pada satu masa you kena faham, bila you jumpa supervisor pada hari pertama, rupa supervisor you takkan sama bila hari terakhir jumpa dia nanti masa you nak submit thesis. Muka mereka ni berubah-ubah. Masa hari pertama, you akan nampak paling manis sekali muka supervisor itu, membuatkan you rasa macam, oh this is the best supervisor. Betul pilihan I. Inilah supervisor yang terbaik yang akan supervise I sampai habis belajar. Tapi you jangan silap. Supervisor pun sama macam kita juga. Macam tadi Dr. Elina ada cakap, bila prepare proposal tu, just a proposal yang kita prepare. So student tu mesti lebih jadi bijak daripada supervisor tu, because you are doing it, you are doing the project, you buat, you yang conduct study tu, you yang tahu lebih banyak apa output or apa finding yang you dapat untuk you inform your supervisor. So adab dia ialah bila you tak tahu, you kena cari supervisor you. Dan bila you tak dapat supervisor, you ada co-supervisor. Pergi kepada co-supervisor. Dan jangan limit yourself hanya dengan supervisor yang you ada je. Dalam sebuah department, you mungkin ada fellow researcher yang lain. You boleh approach mereka. Dan saya rasa di UKM ni kan, di pengalaman saya lah, saya selain daripada saya di biochemistry, saya bukan mencari ilmu di biochemistry je. Saya rasa sangat bertuah bila saya boleh pergi ke pharmacology, even saya boleh ke pathology. Staff-staff di patologi sangat baik bantu saya dalam histologi saya. Dan saya rasa macam, oh sebenarnya you kena pergi cari. Dia tak tahu masalah you. Macam Dr. Lina cakap, siapa yang tahu apa masalah you? You yang kena pergi cari mereka, beritahu apa problem you. Mereka akan bagi you solution. So itu adab yang pertama you kena jaga. Adab tu ialah student yang perlu mencari supervisor. So kalau supervisor you, mungkin kalau dia busy ke apa ke, janganlah itu buat you rasa macam discourage you to, okay lah, no one can solve my problem. Then you pun biarkan drag. So I take a leave, pergi holiday. Macam Dr. Helmi cakap, you pergi holiday but you come back still with no solution. Because you dapat temporary punya apa tu, orang kata therapy pada diri you, tapi solution you tak dapat. So seek for the solution, cari solution tu pada orang yang betul dan jangan limit pada satu group sahaja. I mean within your group, research group aja. Yang kedua, student ni dia kena ada semangat dan jiwa yang besar bila you nak belajar tu. You janganlah stick dalam group you sahaja. Contoh pelajar biochemistry, kawan-kawan you tu, circle of friend you tu biochemistry aja. Make friends with others. You pergi dekat pharmacology, you pergi ada department, you tengok how the student kat sana conduct. Because they might have different experience or different, orang kata, tunjuk ajar guidance from their supervisor. So you belajar daripada mereka. So daripada situ you boleh dapat idea untuk selesaikan masalah you. So bila katalah you berdepan dengan eksperimen yang bukan failure, tidak menjadi seperti apa yang you expect dapat. So jangan negatif, jangan letak negative result. Oh you pun takut. Kebanyakan student dia dapat negative result ni tak sama macam yang all in the published paper semua. Mereka takut nak persembahkan result tu pada supervisor, because kadang-kadang ada supervisor, I only know A, you buat mesti you kena reproduce A juga. That's not research. Sebab tu nama dia pun research. So if you supposed to get A but you get B, go and present to your supervisor and tell them this is your result, defend your result, and katalah kalau ada something wrong there, jangan datang bagi tahu report to your supervisor, I cannot get this, I tak boleh buat ni lah doktor, I tak boleh. Come with solution, come with ideas. Baru supervisor tu rasa seronok mendengar walaupun you datang dengan negative result tu. Jadi dia tahu, okay, so student ni memang berusaha untuk conduct eksperimen, somehow ialah very unfortunate kita dapat not the result yang kita nak. So you bagi idea. What is your idea yang you nak, your solution? Apa yang you rasa you boleh buat untuk selesaikan problem tu. Dan barulah supervisor you akan beritahu sebenarnya apa cara yang terbaik juga selain daripada apa yang you fikirkan tu, apa cara lain untuk menyelesaikan masalah you. Dan kemudian tadi Dr. Fauzi pun ada cakap pasal komitmen kan. Komitmen tu kena berterusan lah. Rasa dia punya, bila you ada komitmen yang konsisten, yang berterusan daripada hari pertama sampai hari terakhir, insyaAllah apapun masalah yang you hadapi, sama ada kewangan ataupun misunderstanding nanti dengan kawan-kawan ataupun dengan supervisor you boleh manage semua tu dengan baik. And you sebenarnya student, you kena jaga diri hati you sendiri. So you yang kena kuat lebih ni. Supervisor dia ada macam-macam lagi dia punya tugas kan. Bukan you seorang je dia nak supervise. So you kena faham. And then be true to yourself and be honest to your supervisor. Tell them kenapa you takut. You mesti jumpa your supervisor. Most of the student kadang-kadang nampak sama level dengan supervisor. Pergi toilet kita nampak, kita dengar bunyi kasut, kita dah jangan nak supervisor tu ada kat sana, kita nak dekat. Kalau kita tak nak terserempak pun. I cakap ni through experience juga. I pun pernah buat macam tu. Tapi lama-lama fikir, ada. Kita fikir macam kalau kita daripada supervisor. Yes. Takut nanti kan tanya how's your progress, paper you macam mana, what's your updates kan. Tapi saya rasa karakter ni sebenarnya you akan hinder your semangat untuk buat research, untuk terus belajar. So you kena break the ice break the barrier dengan supervisor tu. So means you kena bercakap dengan dia. Kalau ada problem, tell the truth. Apa yang you tak boleh buat, apa kemampuan you, apa problem you, tak kisah. Beritahu mereka supaya mereka faham. Sebab mereka pernah menjadi student seperti kita. Jadi of course dia akan faham. So you ingatkan mereka yang mereka pun pernah jadi student dan ini adalah salah satu problem yang mereka mungkin tak hadapi kerana ketika tu dia sangat orang kata mungkin ialah rezeki dia tak hadapi problem tu, tapi kita menghadapi problem tu. So mungkin kalau supervisor tu tak dapat bantu kita, dia mungkin boleh channel kita kepada solution kepada problem kita. Dan kemudian last I think berkenaan dengan okay, negative result tadi ada cakap dah, jangan takutlah pasal negative result, itu selalu student takut. Lepas tu time management lah, yang betul pun macam semua kan ada cakap time management. Macam kita orang Islam, kita bangun pagi, kita start dengan solat kan. Saya percaya dulu masa saya belajar undergrad, supervisor saya selalu cakap, my lecturer selalu cakap, kalau you sebagai orang Islam, you bangun subuh tu, kalau subuh you tu sempurna, insyaAllah daripada pagi sampai ke malam, semua aktiviti you akan sempurna. So you plan daripada pagi, itu yang akan berlaku. So hari ni apa yang you set, you kata you nak habis belajar, you nak JOT ke, you nak macam mana ke, you nak publish 10 papers ke, or you want to hasilkan thesis yang terbaik ke, hari ni you cakap dia akan berlaku dalam masa 3 tahun lagi. You akan buat apa yang you cakap. So semua tu is in your mind. So belajar memang kena kuat. Dan so now macam sekarang bila saya dah buat as a postdoc in biosis ni, saya diberi peluang oleh supervisor saya untuk, bukanlah supervise kan, belum layak lagi lah nak panggil supervisor kan, tapi kita sama-sama facilitate, membantu PhD student dan master student kat sini. Saya lihat karakter yang saya rasa yang perlu ada pada seorang supervisor ni kan, dia perlu memahami dan sentiasa letak diri dia pada situasi student tu. Sebab dia pun pernah jadi student, tapi kadang-kadang dah lama tinggalkan life student kan, so mereka mungkin terlupa. Dan jangan generalizekan student. If you have few student under you, jangan samakan semua student tu like your supervision tu sama untuk apply to all. Tak. Ada student ni dia memang sedikit lemah dalam writing for instance, ataupun dia lemah sikit dalam untuk catch up certain principle untuk buat eksperimen ke. So apa yang you perlu bantu lebih, you akan bantu lebih. Tapi bagi student yang you nampak dia memang ada potential, so you have to appreciate apa knowledge yang student you ada tu. bagi dia semangat dengan cara yang macam tu. So I think kalau ada situation macam ni, ada hubungan yang macam ni antara supervisor dengan student, tak akanlah berlaku MIA, tak akan berlaku yang macam saya cakap tadi, lari-lari yang bila nampak supervisor kan, kita mesti lebih dekat dengan dia, kita tahu dia ialah orang mentor kita, our teacher yang akan kita belajar dengan dia daripada hari pertama, regardless muka dia tadi tu macam saya cakap tadi berubah-ubah tu, daripada hari pertama sampai hari terakhir kita kena hadap semua tu, you akan berjaya. Dan mungkin dia ialah teacher you juga, habis belajar, dia tetap akan menjadi guru you. So, jaga hubungan tu dengan supervisor you, insyaAllah you akan berjaya.
InsyaAllah. Nice sharing Dr. Azidah.
Thank you.
Dr. Adila, Puan Adila pernah lain hari ke daripada supervisor?
So far belum lagi buat macam tu, alhamdulillah. Belum lagi berlaku. Yeah, I think what I have with my supervisory team right now is the mutual respect. Mutual respect between students and supervisory team. So I have quite a number of supervisors. And I definitely honestly to say, we don't have a big age gap between me, myself, and the supervisory team. But definitely, I look up to them because of their guidance and great experience, and also expertise, and also knowledge. So that's why we are looking up to them as a mentor. So I agree with Dr. Azidah regarding adab just now. It's more important for the students to be kind and humble and respectful students. So dengan ada all this attitude, so that we know that kita ni sebenarnya nak belajar. So yes, we go to the students. We go to the teachers lah to get the knowledge. Regardless, teachers to our lecturers ke, or supervisors ke, or other people, or even postdoc juga, kalau dia mengajar kita, then they are our teachers as well. So I agree with you, Dr. Azidah, regarding the adab and also be a respectful students. I think what I can share lah, I belum lagi a successful student, belum graduate lagi. But what I did so far is to focus on your study. Kalau ada fasa, then you focus on the fasa goals. So you focus satu. Kalau you nak fokus kepada semua fasa tu, mungkin it's too overwhelming. So you pecahkan all your goals tu kepada fasa, ataupun pecahkan goals tu kepada semester wise. Maksudnya semester 1, what is our focus, what is our target, and semester 2, and try to achieve it by semester, or try to achieve it by phase in your project. So that would be less overwhelming for the students, who have more commitment. That would be one of the tips that what I do lah sekarang ni. And it works for me. Goals yang kecil ni, target-target yang kecil ni, kita cuba selesaikan satu persatu. And we go one by one and do one thing at a time. Kalau kita sangat busy dengan banyak ada komitmen lain, so pecahkan semua tu kepada target-target yang kecil, dan do one thing at a time. And I think it's better to understand the role of the student. Saya sebagai student, saya understand my role as a student, that I owe the lecturers, or I owe the supervisors and the funder all the progress and all the updates. So yes, we have to go to them. It's on our initiative to update and to give them some progress. So it's good if we can set the standard and expectations of each other from the beginning. For example, whether to meet once a month ataupun minggu sekali ke, it should be done at the earlier stage to understand the expectation of the supervisors, and whether they are okay if we WhatsApp them during the weekends or public holidays. That also things that needs to be considered. Sometimes students kalau dia nak cepat, dia WhatsApp aja kan, tengah malam pun dia WhatsApp. So I rasa itu salah satu adab yang kita kena jaga juga, because the lecturers and the supervisors also human, and they need rest as well. They have family as well. So these are the things that we need to consider. And also they should know I think the supervisors also should know our expectation and what are our commitments during this postgraduate program as well. So it's good to have to know each other's standards and expectations at the earlier stage. In case this has not been done pada earlier stage or pada earlier semester, what we can do is that your supervisor or our supervisor has existing students, so go to them and ask them any tips. Oh, supervisor ni boleh tak kalau kita bercakap ataupun they prefer email or they prefer WhatsApp ke, tanya the existing students and they will tell you many tips and how to win the supervisor's heart and how to work with the supervisor. So that's a good tip. So find the existing student or postdoc students siapa yang pernah bekerja dengan these supervisors of yours. So I think as a student we need to adapt sedikit lah, kita yang kena lebih banyak adapt to supervisors style, okay, and yeah, because they want to guide us. I think yang itu yang sangat penting. And then of course please pray for them. Okay, I always tell my supervisors that take care of your health because I really need you. So tell them that you really need them. Okay, and I don't think that the relationship is temporary or it's ended once the student graduate, as Dr. Aziz mentioned. This is not temporary thingy. I think talking about the academic field, it's a normal situation that the student-teacher relationship later will become a colleague. So let's say during the student and teachers relationship is not good, what will happen later? So it's good to have a really healthy relationship from the beginning. Even though that we as student mungkin age kita lebih tua sikit daripada supervisor yang muda-muda tu, but it's still a respect that they earn because of the experience and the knowledge. So that's what I'm thinking. So talking about what the expectation of the supervisor from students' perspective, I think one thing that probably the students would like to have a supervisor that always encourage and also always give motivation. I ni sedikit manja-manja students lah. Kalau I lost in motivation or lost in my project, I definitely will go to my supervisor, and alhamdulillah my supervisor so far layan je I punya demotivation ni, and it's alhamdulillah when I go to the supervisor. I just want you all supervisors to know that you all have a good vibe. Whenever the student comes to you, you have this vibe, then the stress all gone. Tiba-tiba I rasa the research yang sangat susah nak buat tu, senang je nak buat. So students, go to your supervisors or go to the supervisory team or someone that you trust to build up motivation. Memang selalunya motivation yang akan dia macam roller coaster sikit lah.
Sekejap naik tinggi kan.
Betul. And then I really appreciate if the supervisor could tell me what I've done wrong and how can I improve things. So I really appreciate that. So if the supervisor can do that, it would be great. Tapi saya tak tahulah, itu saya. Mungkin students lain dia tak suka orang correct dia. That would be a different story pula. But I hope that most of us would appreciate someone who tell our mistake and how to correct it and how to do it better. I like I think Dr. Fauzi or Dr. Helmi punya idea tadi, the GPS idea is very good for me. If the lecturers tak ada this GPS, then the students will go dreaming and drowning sendirian. So for me myself, I really like this GPS idea. But it depends on supervisor's preferences. But if the supervisor, kalau saya lah, kalau supervisor tu bukan jenis yang GPS, yang akan WhatsApp students, probably I will tell the supervisor, please GPS me so that I can keep track of my work. It could be done that way as well. Yeah, I think that would be Dr. Norliza.
Okay, thanks very much Adila for your sharing itu. We don't have much time, tapi I do have one quick question for Dr. Fauzi. The Dr. Fauzi, you have almost around 20 students, kan? How do you make sure your students tak ada yang missing, yang lari-lari? How do you manage them?
I will chase them basically. So as I mentioned previously that it's a compulsory to have like 2 meetings a month, basically one-to-one session. So apparently this few, I think last month, yeah, no one-to-one session. So I chase them. So they will start to book the timetable. Maybe they are really like, sometimes I just change the meeting time because of the other commitment, right, the admin stuff. So maybe they're really bored about it. So maybe they just wait for my call to have the meeting basically. So
Once a month? Once a
sorry?
month?
No, twice a month.
Twice a month.
Twice a month. So basically, within the 3 weeks, we'll have like one-to-one session. So they can select any day, and then another one will be like big meeting lah with all students together with postdoc and other co-researchers that want to join lah basically. So that one the whole day habis lah. So you need to allocate the whole day to run all the students. So at least you have one month lapse, you know. If anything happen, you can recorrect in terms of the I mean negative finding so something that really appropriate for them to do this kind of approach, or maybe this kind of approach later for that parameters, for example. So and then yeah, as usual, I will track the what I call it, manuscript writing lah. They want always that they are really hidden from me. So but I need to chase. If not, I don't want they like really publish just for the review paper. So for me, review paper is always added value for them. So but the goal achievement for any postgraduate student would be like the original research paper. Okay. Review paper, I always mention to them, if you want to write more, you just write until faculty can pay for the APC, yeah, just publish. Okay, so but the original research paper will be like your goal, what I call it, achievement that you need to do before you submit your thesis, basically. And then, yeah, a bit difficult, basically. I think even my rambut pun dah gugur banyak dah. So because each of them that really have their own problem, kan? So but I try to like manage my team, research team kind of like family lah basically. So if you marah adik abang, is some sort of that you need to resolve because at last you go to the same lab, right? And then you go to the same place. So you will meet each other, and then you once a month you have the like so-called meeting, research meeting. So takkan you not just continue like so-called met each other, right? So you should resolve that relationship. And then yeah, another thing would be like you need to chase your supervisor lah basically. So that is the most important, because you need to look into the so-called positivity. I mean, what I call it, the bright the bright color of your supervisor is not the dark side, you know. So because even you look into the dark side, why my supervisor act like this to me? So this is one question. So like Dr. Hemi mentioned, 2 weeks tak jumpa aku ni, so maybe dia masam muka kot jeling, some sort of that. So why your supervisor act like that? Okay, because for me, supervisor have their own so-called what you call it the key to make you successful person in the future, you know. So as a student, and so maybe for you to continue your career later on. So I believe Prof. Norliza, I think Dr. Elena and Dr. Hamid agree with me that we don't want something that not really quality student, you know. So that's why when we throw the idea, you need to be independent. So same thing. The near future later on, if you have like maybe 10 grants, you can control everything. So you need to have someone that really, okay, I will pass you this one, we will have detailed discussion, you need to pursue. Okay, you need to pursue and you need to control from A to Z to have the output for this study. Okay, it's always proposal. Proposal can be changed anytime. Don't make to your supervisor, okay? Because sometimes the idea is just like come maybe 5 years ago, you know, that currently we have like I mentioned new technology and new knowledge, so you need to improve that. Okay, don't bother about the money for you to run the research, but bother how to improve yourself, how to improve the research finding. That's all, Prof.
Okay, thanks very much, Dr. Helmi. I know we have a lot of things lagi to sembang, but it's 2 o'clock, 3 minutes past 2 already. We are supposed to stop. But just to conclude, let me conclude quickly. ada banyak points tadi, okay, apa ni, but I think the most important ones that I pick up from our discussion today, from our forum today, is for the student to have to be independent, to be resourceful, to have a good adab, kan, and to have good organizational skill. Okay, so all these important points ni memang insyaAllah will lead you to a successful postgraduate life. Okay, so with that, I think we will end this session. Okay, I thank all the panelists today. But thank you very much for your sharing, for your time, yeah, for your input. Yeah, very interesting, very inspiring. Okay, yes, great sharing. Ada banyak, we have a few tadi ada soalan jugalah. Tapi I'm sorry, I have to kena ignore sikit soalan tu sebab one thing we tak cukup masa, and another question to Dr. Adila tu, Puan Adila, dia tanya pasal about private university. I think it's beyond this scope. Maybe you can approach Dr. Adila personally, yeah, to those who ask the question to Dr. Adila. Sorry, to Puan Adila. Okay, soon to be doctor, yeah. Adila, inshallah, you will graduate soon. Okay. So so that's it, yeah. So we end our session today. Yeah? Thank you very much again to all the panelists and to the audience today. Yeah?